Good evening, everyone. Yeah, we're all set. Okay, welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for May 10th, 2023. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let's start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, warrants and bills have been signed. We're gonna pass on the approval of the agenda. I'd also like to announce that Kim will not be here tonight. It's public that.
Pass on the meeting there, Tom.
I'm sorry?
We're gonna pass on the minutes. We're still gonna approve the agenda.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What's the matter with me? We're going to approve the agenda. A motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Minutes we're going to pass on. Kim was not able to be here tonight. She should be hopefully returning next week. Town Administrator's Weekly Update.
Just a couple of things that can't wait. I'm leaving you with a updated proposed budget. This is from the treasurer. We have cross-referenced the numbers in each one of these to the numbers on the warrant article, so just ask that you take it home. I'm hoping maybe next week we have a little time to look at it. It seems to be in good order, but need you guys to look at it. Also regarding the last article on one of the last articles, the school did agree that they would move the money from their unassigned fund balance. So that change has been made in the warrant. We also took all the account numbers out. There's a couple of the grammar issues, but
Yep.
Warren and Finance should be ready for it on Monday. We'll give them updated copies before Monday.
Okay.
And then the only other thing is that absentee ballots are available starting on Friday. We have them, so tomorrow or Friday.
Okay. Department head committee updates, committee chair updates.
Will Langley, District 1. We just want to come up here and talk to you guys for a few minutes about paving this year. The last 2 years, we've had Carroll Materials doing all of our paving, and both gentlemen we have worked with have asked us, I guess they do this in other towns, they want to know if we would just continue working with them instead of going out to bid. Just, don't even go out to bid, and we just can continue working with them for another year. And I told the gentleman that we work with now that in past practice, we've never done that. We've always gone out to bid. And I told him, I said, I'll bring it up to the selectmen. I said, we can talk about it. I said, I don't think it's going to happen, but I just didn't know what you guys had thought about it. He's asked us 2 or 3 times about it.
And also scheduling, we don't want to lose that window.
So what's the advantage to the town of this? I could see the advantage to them, but what's the advantage to
They've
us?
also been the lowest bidder the past 2 years
No, and
for us.
that's great, and they've got the jobs.
Yes.
Because they've been the lower bids. So beyond that, how does it advantage the town to forego our policy on bidding?
I've talked to the gentleman 2 or 3 times about it, and I'd never really got into it with him because I didn't want to say any more than I wanted to. But I mean, he's always said when they could hold a little bit better price, then if they could have the, continue working with us and everything, it really just came down
Or
to
if we
price.
did it
and-
for 2 years or 3-year contract with them or something we could work.
Would they do a 3-year contract?
I haven't, like I said, I didn't get into
They might.
logistics with him because I didn't want to.
Crazy to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
mean at current pricing?
I don't know, like I said, I didn't get into it with him about.
I think when you have a multi-year contract, typically you've done a bid that would solicit bids from other vendors also offering a multi-year contract. So you could compare the pricing for the multi-years.
Yep.
So that, I think, is pretty standard practice. I don't mind a multi-year contract if it makes sense. I would certainly be open to it. I don't know about you, David. If they were interested, I don't know. But to just, because they asked for one, and we've always used them, to me doesn't seem like an adequate reason, just my opinion. And we have a policy that says they should bid.
Right, and that's why, I had a conversation about that, and I'm like, we've never done it that I know of. I said, I can throw it out there, and I said, if not, you'll have to bid
I
on
would
it.
love to do what you
what you're talking about. You know, it's really, in my eyes, there's only two companies that you know, Dayton and FR are those two companies that I always had great luck with. Pike, nothing against Pike, they're just a bigger company, you know, you get them for a year, here and there. I think I've told the stories back in the day when they were in a competition with a couple towns. Another company come and taken in one of theirs, so they came in and took in one of theirs, or Shapley happened to be that town. And I said, boy, I hope we get that price, and then we didn't even get that price, you know? But, I mean, I would love to be able to say, yeah, this is a great idea, but you're talking lots of money. What are we talking this year? How many, what is it, $1 million this year? It's $850,000 worth of paving. You know my stance, remember when you guys wanted to go with who you're using now and there was a $7 difference in tonnage. You know, we getting eaten alive by the public and the audience, not saying you guys, but
I think this is about
it's an 800.
20% of the town budget that basically we would let to an outside party without a contract, I mean, without a bid. That's not anything that I could get comfortable with,
But-
to be honest with you, so.
At the end of the day, though, you know, by putting it out to bid, we don't always take the low bid.
Right.
You take the company that you're gonna get the best quality, the best scheduling, and this and that. Those three companies we typically roll out to normally do that. But it would be in our town's best interest to bid them out. And that individual knows that every town in the state of Maine does that.
Right, and I told him this year, I said, we have like, you know, if everything goes through, we do have, you know, a hefty amount of paving to do, and I think, you know, might be able to get a little bit
With the
better.
amount of paving that you guys have got pulling forward, it would be in our best interest to put out the bid because they're gonna want that $850,000 worth of paving.
Right.
Back in the day, when we only spent $200,000, $100,000 apiece, it wasn't very appetizing.
Right.
So that we did have issues because it was little fish in big pond. You know, we're putting up some real money here. And plus, I don't imagine our payment budget's gonna go down anytime soon.
No.
So really, at the end of the day, we have to.
Right, and
Unfortunately.
and I kinda told him that, I said, I think we're gonna just end up, gonna go out to bid, I said, I'll throw it out to him, I said, I don't, so that's a
Worth
little bit.
asking.
You know, I'm feeling like I would like more information.
Okay.
I'd like to understand why are they offering something with this? Or is it simply a convenience for them?
I think
If that's what it is, thank you, but I don't think we do it. If they're gonna offer something, I guess I'd like to know what they're offering.
Yeah, but based on
we
how we went
still-
out to bid last year for, it was very clear that it was a 1 year. I mean, if you decide to do a 3-year or they offer something, it really should be in a clean bid
You would
going
have to put
forward.
it back out the bid for the
No, and-
3-year,
yeah,
then set the precedent.
it would have to be, I
What
just
could
don't
they
wanna
offer?
turn something down until I know what it is.
The paving
And-
company's not gonna go out for a 3-year contract, I can
Okay,
tell you
well,
right now. Because crude oil prices go up and down, all that, I mean, they'd be crazy to do that. So I can't imagine, I mean, we've had issues where we've had a paver in town that gave us a bid and changed his number in the middle of it because the crude prices, the price of asphalt went up so much. We just don't wanna be in that situation.
Right.
There you go, I guess you got an answer.
No, then that's fine, then, the next week, can we put the paving out to bid then?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then, just, I couldn't attend the meeting last week, I had another meeting, but, with all the rain we got, I did pretty good, we only had, up on Acton Ridge, those were the two worst washouts we had, and, we fixed that between Monday and Tuesday, and then, yeah, Monday and Tuesday, we had it all fixed, and then we had one section, that was like 1,000 feet, it washed right out, we just helped some gravel in, that's all fixed, and I have like, two small, like little small washouts we just gotta fix, and that's it, so, and everything.
I had the
That's
same
it.
amount of washouts, I couldn't even get out of my yard, because my neighbor's
what I
culvert
heard,
clogged. And then we took care of that to get my equipment out, and then we went up, took care of that road. And then, I did Peacock, Gauding, Peck Road, we're working on because the drainage got clogged and did a bunch more damage than it was there before. So we're working on fixing that before we even fix the section of road, because the water's still running aggressively across the road, so, do what's left of the culvert. So,
We got some rain.
yeah, we did.
I just want to say, I heard positive comments for both the road agents about the work that you did, the fact that you were out there as quickly as you did. You remedied the problems. Thanks for your efforts. I think the community really appreciates what
We're
you've
making
done.
progress every day, so.
And,
Okay.
I spoke to, Adam the other day, yesterday maybe?
Yesterday.
I think it was yesterday. And, we had an emergency on one of the roads that got washed out. Our fire department, our chief contacted, us, and we had a little powwow trying to figure out what we were gonna do about it, and, a road, Huzzy Hill Road, we're just gonna throw it out there. Huzzy Hill Road washed out badly, bad enough that emergency vehicles, nobody was getting in and out. And, there was a couple residents on the road that are frequent flyers. We went back and looked at the statutes, that allowed us to do what we did to make it so the emergency vehicles could get in. Adam was right on it. But what we've gotta do at some point here, because this is something there, we don't wanna do that often,
No.
unless we have to, because the fire chief made such an issue out of it, and we looked it up, that I think what we're gonna end up having to do at some point, because like Adam called me yesterday, he goes, where do I pull this money from? So, I think at some point, I don't know what we can do on this coming budget. We can't do anything on this coming one. The articles are set, but we do have a special town meeting coming in June possibly. But what I like to do at some point is we've gotta set up another, like an emergency fund,
Contingency reserve fund.
contingency reserve fund, so that, cause like Adam went and took money out of his account that he had planned something else. And this was a private road, but, we had to do what we had to do. We wanna be able to make sure that this doesn't affect the road commissioner and the duties that he needs to proceed on the town roads.
I understand the aspect of it, a life safety issue with regard to emergency access, I get that. But with private roads, it seems to me the citizens have an obligation to properly maintain their road. And that would be to make sure there's proper ditches and culverts, and the drainage has been taken care of. There's always, 100-year storms that come along that no one can anticipate. But we don't want to be going in and cleaning up roads because the owners have failed to properly
Lack of
maintain
maintenance
them.
and
So I'm not
associations.
quite sure what the solution is here, but it could be a slippery slope, and I don't want to go down that road.
Yep.
And so I'm not quite sure what to do
Well,
with
I
this,
wanna
but.
discuss it, I wanna
yeah.
discuss it because, like, when he called, if it was a major big deal where he had to go spend $10,000 on a big culvert or
this was
something.
relatively-
Because the problem you have is this, and then we did, when we were down there, we were with the fire chief, Tom and I, and, Adam showed up later, individuals from the road were down there, and we were explaining to them that, you're supposed to have a road association.
Yeah.
And we can't be coming in, this is, like you said, it's a slippery slope, coming in on a private road and fixing the entrance, because you can't get in and out. But if something happens, it comes back on us. So, I just looking at something down, that we can have some sort of something there for an emergency like that. Separate from their original budgets, because it's really not fair to, when you got all your ducks in a row,
Yep.
this is where my money's going for this, and that, and then all of a sudden you go in, you take this money out for a road that wasn't taking care of themselves, but we were obligated to do what we had to do. And we don't wanna make it a common occurrence, and we won't,
No.
but, the road was bad enough that nobody was getting in and out.
Yeah, you could barely get anything, even a piece of equipment up there.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was bad.
Okay,
All right,
thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Robin.
How we doing?
Good.
Just gonna give you some insight on my conference I took this past weekend. The first one I took for grants and funding from the state for transfer stations. That was part of Monday's thing. The other thing was trying to reduce the demo stuff that's coming into the last station. That was very interesting. Tuesday was universal waste training, how to log stuff in, how to store it, all that stuff. And the operating core training, how to operate a transfer station efficiently. That's a two-part thing. I'll get a certificate and all that stuff for it. I did speak to, his name was, I mentioned it last week. Can't think of his name now. Well, from DEP.
Okay.
Eric
Yep.
Hamlin.
Eric Hammond,
Yeah,
yeah, thank
okay,
you.
yeah.
I had it on my mind.
Did you contact him or he contact you?
No, he was at the conference.
Okay.
I went up and spoke to him, and he saw my name tag, and he said, "Oh, Acton, you guys are doing a project." I went, "Yeah, how did you find out?" So he kind of told me that Sebago contacted one of his department, not him directly, but just to give them a heads up that we're thinking. We haven't done nothing yet, just thinking. And
That sounds kind of odd.
so
Yeah, I know, I don't know why they did that.
So anyways, he says, yeah, and I told him planning on what we're planning on doing. He says, not a problem, With you being new and everything, I would like to come down in the next few weeks to discuss that with you,
That project?
the project plus future project, because it might be, he said, we can't dig, but we might be able to go over what we have there to make the parking lot maybe a little bigger. He's got to go back to
So,
it.
I guess back it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out why DP was contacted in the first place. I think I'm getting a kind of good idea why. Did you give,
Did I? No.
did you, like something that you wanted to fill over the landfill itself or anything like that?
no, I didn't mention to the engineer, no.
David, I suspect that this may be a practice of theirs when
Yes.
Yeah.
when they're thinking, when they're,
They just give
helping
them
a
a heads
town.
up.
Yeah,
They'll
okay.
often sort of, reach out to the regulatory
Yeah.
agency and just see if there's anything about
Okay.
the scope
Yeah,
of
I
this.
just didn't know if you
that
might
could
have
be a
mentioned something
problem.
about the landfill itself, because as far as I know, we weren't talking about doing anything. on
Probably
that
not a
side.
bad practice for them to
No.
do that. It
But
kinda-
he mentioned
kinda-
it to me, it might be just a change of the license, and we might be able to go over what we have and still be able to do what we need to do. And he says, I know you want to do a driveway, because I told him I wanted to do a new entrance and a thing coming down by the metal, a ramp coming down by the metal. He says, that's no problem, that's, but he would like to come down where I'm new, just to go over stuff where it'll teach me how to handle things, how to do my
When
job a
he
little
comes in, would you
better.
let me know, please?
Oh, absolutely, I'd like to have all, and what he was talking about was have us look at the future, what we might want to do in the future, where we might want to do it, because it might be able to do it, because it's been there for so long, he don't know about going back to his office and see exactly where anything is.
David, you want
But
some?
he would like to see,
Well, yeah.
he would like to
Sebago
see the
should be
future,
invited.
what I'm planning on now and what could come down the line, he said basically a wish list, and we'll go from there.
Can't hurt. Sounds like a
Exactly,
good
that's
meeting.
that's exactly what he
Well, let's
said.
have Sebago there too.
Yep.
They can add something to this, okay?
So,
Good.
Schedule it.
yeah, I just gotta have Jennifer email him and a time, and he said, would it be better coming down on a day that you're not open, so you're not so busy? And I said, we'll work around your schedule. I know you're a lot busier than we are, but
I would prefer
I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I told him I'd give him our hours, and we'll just tell him we prefer be it on the day that we're not open.
So you want to meet with Eric and Sebago some Tuesday or Thursday?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you, Robin. Anyone else? Okay. Liaisons, there was a warrant and finance committee meeting the other night. Had an opportunity to spend some time with them. Spent some time with capital improvement as well. Nothing specific to report out of that, other than that warrant and finance, both committees were doing their work with regard to preparation for the town meeting. David?
I have no updates.
That's fine. Okay, we want to change the agenda. Is that after old business? or
Yes.
After. Okay, let's go through the old business first. We have an engagement letter that we've worked out with Roy Talbot, Barry Talbot Royer. And we've had it looked at by legal counsel. I've done some discussions with Mark Roy on this. We made some changes that I think were perhaps a little more reasonable to both parties. I think it's a very good agreement. It's funny, I didn't know if you saw this email, David. There's a provision in here that talks about additional services and fees. So I said, so what are the additional services that you might bill for? There aren't any. They don't bill. The only thing they will bill is if we ask them to go back and do some work in prior years before they were engaged. So it just confirmed that in fact
just
the
covered
fee covered their full scope of services going forward. So did you have any comments on this?
No,
Okay.
we're gonna sign this today, aren't we?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we sign the agreement to Barry Talbot Roy to engage them as of July 1st for a fee of, how much was it?
65.
$65,000.
I'll second that.
Any public comment? I think we've already had some on this, so I think we can move forward. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. Surveys.
So this is a follow-up from the road surveys. I know that
Oh,
Will,
yes.
you were going to possibly make some calls. I didn't hear back from you, so I'm assuming you were able to do that?
I made some phone calls yesterday afternoon and today, and I got one company to give me a call back, and they told me they'd call me next week with a price, so I don't know if you...
Was
off
that
till next
Line
week.
Pro?
What's that?
Was that, were you able to reach Mr.
Yeah,
Stanley?
no, you get on his voice machine there, and it says they won't call you back unless it's an emergency or
I told you
something.
to tell me if you couldn't reach
I
him.
was gonna give him, I called him at like 3 o'clock yesterday, so I was gonna give him time to call me
Oh, I
back,
thought
but
you
I
said you
think...
couldn't leave a
Well, you got
message.
another company anyway.
Yeah, it's, two of them called me back today, Tidewater out of Elliott, Maine, and then Civil Consultants out of Berwick, Maine called me, so, yeah, we wanna hold off another week
Yep.
until I get a price.
There's no rush on this, is there?
No, yes and no, but it could wait another week, so.
Okay.
it's no big
Worst
deal.
case scenario, if it dragged into the spring, you'd be able to do the job anyways, right?
Yeah, so, okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have an executive session planned for this evening. Why am
And I
I
apologize.
not seeing that,
It should be
Jennifer?
right here,
9C,
C.
and just so you know,
Oh, 9C.
9D should be APAT budget, so I left out the word, I apologize.
Okay, so we'd like to move into an executive session at this point for personnel matters 4056A-1. I would expect this to be about a 15-minute executive session. We'll do our best to, so we don't keep everybody held up, but there'll be a break here for about 15 minutes. I got that right, Jennifer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I've made a
Second that.
motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Brief synopsis and move.
Okay, make a motion to,
Come out of it. I'll make a motion, we come out of executive session 4056A.
oh,
Dash one.
Dan, are you all set? Okay, great. I'll second it. All in favor? Okay.
Can we talk about APAT budget? Can we move that up with it, if that's okay?
Yeah, we might as well
Here.
combine it.
I'm sorry, where is that on here?
So I have D, that D is supposed to be APAT budget, if we can talk about that while the department head is still here. that'd be
Sure,
helpful.
that's great. We just had an opportunity to speak to Mike about the APAT budget, which is, for a couple of reasons, running ahead of budget. One is the franchise fee that we get from, I guess it's Breeze Line,
Yes,
came in less than budgeted.
correct,
How much?
$1,488.
$1,400.
$1,488.
So, in an effort to remedy the budget problem we have in the current year, I'd like to make a motion to present a request or a motion that we will eventually take up, how best to word this. We need to refer it to the Warrant and Finance Committee so that they can review this and provide their advice and position on the recommendation. But basically, we have a $15,000 emergency fund, and council has indicated that that would be an appropriate use for that fund. So,
Portion of that.
Other than,
Yeah, so I guess two things, two motions that we're looking for. So
well,
go ahead.
so, well, we're not going to make a motion until the Warrant and Finance, I guess we make a motion to present it to the Warrant and Finance Committee.
I mean, the article just says that the expenditure in excess of 500 shall require advice and recommendation of the Warrant and Finance, not approval.
I understand, but how do we get it in a
Make it a-
format that they can take that up?
Well, we're just gonna send them an email and tell them that you made a motion to
Okay.
we have to
approve this
make the motion
expenditure.
to pull 1,400, whatever,
Okay.
out of the account. And then after that, then it'll go to the finance committee.
And then does it come back here for another motion, or is that it?
I think you can do it all in one, but
Okay, fine. So I'll make a motion that we utilize $1,488
$488.
from the emergency fund due to a reduced level of funding from the franchise fee for APAP.
I'll second that.
Any comment? All in favor? Okay. And the second motion?
The second part of that motion is we are looking to move $686.36 that APAT has spent on equipment. They have an APAT equipment line that has over
Yep.
$9,000 for capital equipment. So we would like to replenish his budget in the $686.36. Again, checked with council, that's the only thing that can come out of that. We want to reinstate his budget by that amount out of the capital
Okay.
account.
So
That capital
I'll make a
account.
motion that we move $686
36 cents.
and 36 cents from the APAP equipment account to the APAP operating account to cover the cost of equipment purchased this year.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay, so that got us part of the way there. We still have, based on our, after those actions, our balance available is how much?
What did we say, 1,500 maybe?
Yeah,
Low.
$1,700. We're going to have to limit the number of events that are taped in order to stay within the budget. And we think that budget can sustain approximately two
2 meetings a week.
meetings a week. So we think the selectmen meeting is one that ought to be taped. I think we're going to put out a note to all the other committees, the extent to which they feel they have a particular meeting that's critically important, they think the public needs to hear about it, that they can petition to the select board that APAT be authorized to provide coverage for that meeting. So this will be an act that will be in place through June 30 to get us through the fiscal year, to make sure that we do not overspend this budget.
Plus, we're
Stated that?
talking about limiting the meetings also to a 2-hour.
Oh,
meeting.
yeah. The other thing is
Can't
the
afford any more
stipend goes
double
up
stipends.
when it goes over 2 hours, and so we got to limit the taping to 2 hours. And so we ask committees to try to get their business done within that time, or perhaps they can structure their agenda so that if they go over that, the less critical items are at the tail end of that, so that they won't be, these folks won't be required to work beyond the 2 hours.
Can I just clarify, Tom, you mentioned that the committees can petition the select board. I mean, we're gonna have to make these decisions by the first of the week. Did I understand that Michael and I, with one of your consents, will be making those decisions? Because we can't wait till Wednesday meetings to have you decide.
I'd love you to do that, Jennifer, for you to do that.
And
So
Warren
I'll amend
Finance
that.
has one more.
Get them to Jennifer, and if she obviously needs advice, she will get in touch with us, and we'll huddle on it. So that's what we'll be doing to rectify that budget. I think that takes care of the actions we needed. Any comment at this point before we move on? Yes. Would you like to come up, please?
Nancy Ruma.
Yes.
Is this just till the end of the fiscal year?
Yeah.
Or the ongoing next year?
Well, I
Till
thought
July 1st.
Just
Oh,
for
no,
the,
just till July 1st.
there has been a very significant increase in the number of events that are being taped
Right.
or broadcast, I should say, that well and exceeded what was done in the prior year. There was some growth anticipated, but that was exceeded. So,
Plus, on top of that,
It's
you
the double
had more of
stipends.
them, and then you have some that have gone, because we doubled the stipend after so many hours.
3
We
hours.
doubled
Oh, I
the
see.
stipend.
Right.
So when you would go from 20 in this year, and then go to 34 this year, there's 14 more meetings that doubled.
Right.
That eats up a budget
there's
pretty
just
quick.
no way to estimate that. I mean, he went up drastically on his stipends, but you just never know how many
Right.
are gonna be that long, so.
we've
Okay.
reviewed, or in the process of reviewing the proposed budget
That's
for
gonna be next.
'24.
That's
That's
gonna be
coming
next.
up next?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Dennis?
Tom, the only thing that, concern I have is we have one more meeting for the Warren and Finance. And I can't say that we'll be done in 2 hours.
Okay,
And we have to meet your schedule,
yeah.
we have to have all our recommendations for you guys to sign the warrant on Wednesday for it to be posted. So I can do
Why
my
don't you
best,
take a-
but I can't.
So it's actually 3 hours before we have to pay the double
Yeah.
stipend. So we'll work with the department head who will do the setup before and after. He'll help to make sure that the person that's there is no more than 3 hours, and just do the best you
Oh,
can.
I'm sorry, did I get that
Well,
wrong?
yeah, it's actually 3 hours.
But we've been exceeding that.
Well, we have, but we give them breakup time before and after, so that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sure Mike will work with, we know the Warren and Finance, that was on our list to get the last one covered, and the Joyce's salary, and our department head will make sure that's handled, the
I mean,
last
that-
meeting.
Our last meeting obviously was more involved than it usually is. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't usually last like that, but.
That's fine.
Fact is, it doesn't, but that was different.
Well, this is not being
circumstances.
directed at any one committee in any way. It's
Okay, I just
you know,
wanna-
we're doing what we gotta do to make sure we can stay within the
Can't
budget.
I just want to make sure on the
Yeah. And-
timeline.
And we understand you have a meeting, and
Yeah.
we'll, sounds like we're gonna be able to accommodate
Yeah.
that, but work with Jen, she'll kind of
Yeah.
figure that out. We're gonna cover the school board.
Thank you, Tom.
And so, no issues there, right?
Yes, he said, thank you, Tom.
Yes, I got it, okay. Mike?
Yeah, just to clarify and to, we'll try to continue to keep status quo. I'll do what I can, as the department head to do setup, to cover meetings that can't be covered potentially. It's hard to step away from the family, having the babies and everything,
Do
but
what you can.
I will do what I can to, and I wanted to also explain that the preparations for this budget, we came off a pandemic, so I was using some skewed numbers in the past. And it was hard to get a good average on how many meetings we will be covering and double stipends involved. And moving forward, now that we're out of the pandemic, it's going to be a little more clear as to how many events we're going to cover and how much it's going to cost in order to do so.
Okay,
But yeah, we'll try to keep status quo. As they said, I will do what I can to make sure the Warren and Finance meetings are covered.
There's only one left, so.
Yep,
it was on the
entirety.
list.
Next week, there are 3 meetings, so we'll have to figure out how to cover all 3 of those meetings.
okay,
And make sure that they are covered and they are broadcasted, so.
Very
Do
good.
what we can to keep things as they are until July 1st for the new budget season.
thanks for your efforts, Mike.
Don't go anywhere. We're going over your budget next. There you go, Tom. I'll give you this one, huh?
Are we still?
So underneath, yeah, the D is supposed to be APAP budget.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about,
So
now
we-
that we know he's short, we need to adjust his budget that's gonna be on the warrant for next week.
Okay,
So I'm hoping we can make these changes.
yeah,
So come
Still gonna
on.
go back to A and B afterwards, right?
Yes.
yes, okay.
All right, so looking at this budget, so because it's kind of good timing where the Warren and Finance didn't make any recommendations, we can provide them a new warrant on Monday, if you support this. But the department head salary is the same, it's a 5% increase everywhere. The labor, so the stipends, we've talked for the last several years about increasing it. It's been $50 since they started. This shows the
How long
70
has that been?
2011, 10 or 11?
So it's
11.
been 12 years without an increase, okay?
So the, Michael and I talked, we're looking at $75 a meeting. He's increased the quantity to 275. The current budget that we're in is how many?
190, because on average, we were 180.
That was the budget?
Yes.
Yes,
And how many, without any efforts to manage, do you think we would have done this year?
another 35 we
Yeah,
figured.
we're gonna be at the 280 mark, I think.
Okay.
Once all said and done. That's including the double stipend number.
Okay,
So $75 at 275, that's you see the number there, Social Security, Medicaid.
Yeah.
Repairs, the internet bill, he all left the same. So the bottom line is actually 48,086. Unfortunately, as he mentioned, the revenue checks from Atlantic Broadband keep going down. And based on the shortage this year, he's only budgeting on 27,000 from them. We got 31 this year. It's shown about a $4,000 decrease
Yeah,
each year,
2
so
to-
that's
yeah,
a
2
good
to
number.
4.
Is it going down because people are discontinuing service and streaming or finding other ways of getting service? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Yes, because
It just-
that revenue check comes from people that pay their cable bill. There's an amount on there, $6 or $7 now.
It's a
for
percentage of
Channel
their,
26.
Okay, because the high on this was close to 40,000 at one point?
yeah, 45,000.
45,000? Wow.
So what that leaves, is for the town to raise and appropriate $21,086.
41.
Versus this current year, 3,000.
3,000.
Wow.
So between the extra meetings, the increased stipend, and the loss of revenues, the town will have to decide what they want to do with that. But we're
Okay.
looking for your support to at least put this on the warrant and have the conversation there.
Yes,
Thank you.
great.
Good.
Any additional comment from you, Mike?
No, the data shows that since 2020, our franchise checks have been dropping $3,000 a year, just about. This year was down to 31, and anticipation of another $3,000 drop would be roughly what you see on the spreadsheet.
Okay. Any comment or questions from the public? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, so warrant and finance questions from Dennis. Thank you for submitting your questions as we spoke about the other day. I think we'll refer the first item.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
so-
was there something you wanted?
Well, no, I was just gonna go through them, because I've got answers.
You go
Some of
right
them should
ahead,
be
Jennifer.
So number one, they are correct, we've made that change. Number two, the proposed changes, CEO has already sent me the previous public hearing and the current, so we'll send both documents along. The balance on the cemetery fund, easy enough, we'll send that to them. Why aren't the following two accounts listed? Bridge Culvert Capital Reserve and West Shore, I believe this is the first year that they're being rolled over. The West Shore Drive didn't you create last year?
Yes, we
So it
did.
needs to be added, we'll talk to
The
the
old,
treasurer.
with the ARPA funds.
So they should be added to the warrant?
I'll run it by the treasurer.
Yeah?
Why is 10,000 from unassigned being placed in the town hall capital reserve account? That was a decision you guys made,
Yes,
add money to it,
yes.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
so. they'd like to
That
know why.
reserve currently is at what, 40?
40 or
Oh,
50?
what, the park?
Which is in the town hall parking lot now.
I think it was
Oh,
40.
That's more than that.
Oh, okay. Huh?
70 or 75.
Okay, thank you.
there.
All right, I'm confusing it with the rec.
I
Thank
don't
you.
like throwing any numbers out if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'll
All
get
right.
criticized for it.
Well,
so
I
I'm not
do it
doing
all the
that.
time, so-
Not unless I have something in front of me, I'm not doing it.
Okay. So it is your intent to add to that for the future
Yeah.
project, whether it's
Yeah.
fixing it or,
Well, I
tearing it
think it was because we were going to engage someone to engineer this, which probably was not previously considered.
No, no, it wasn't. So,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
That's the reason. Make sense, Dennis? Okay.
All right, so that one I'll consider answered. Why is the town setting pay rates for private businesses? These are the road rates.
Well, that's a pretty easy question. I mean, we don't want, unless you go out to bid for every project, okay? Are you gonna just let them come in and tell us what we're gonna pay them? I mean, that would almost be impossible for us to figure that out, especially with the snow plowing and everything else. So we pay hourly. This is what every town that does that does.
Is this a new practice for us, Dennis?
No, we've always done this. This has been done for years and years and years, so.
All right.
Does that answer the question, or do we need to elaborate more on that?
It doesn't what?
But would you like to come up and elaborate?
what the specific, and you have to bear with me some when I write these questions. It's kind of hard to, but the question was intended for this year. It was pointed out that we're going to give a 5% increase to the part of the rates that was employee pay.
Yeah.
And that was like, and these are private businesses. And that was the question, why are we giving 5% pay increases in the rates for a private business?
I think,
Plus,
But we did
Plus
do a
the-
5%.
plus the $6 an hour increase for the equipment itself. Because last year, we did a $5 an hour increase, according to our former treasurer, for the pay portion of the rates that we pay.
so are you suggesting we shouldn't offer those contractors any increase in their hourly rate?
What I'm saying is, what they're paying their help is none of our business, I guess is what they were saying.
Well, this isn't,
They aren't town employees.
but we aren't directing them to pay their employees this rate. That's their
The
business.
whole
So
idea
what did you
was-
do with your 5% for their employees?
We, look, David.
I'll answer this if you would
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
First of all, there was a $12 increase in all the wages. We decided we weren't gonna do that. We settled for a $6. That was because between a fuel and a 5% increase in their wages. Now, each one of those individuals that works for the town of Acton is no different than anybody else. They have to pay their crew their wages, correct? Right?
Right, but it's got nothing to do with us, it's with contention.
Sure it does. It has everything to do
Okay.
with us.
That's
We
your
have to
opinion.
pay their wages for these guys to get people to work for the town of Acton. We have to be up with everybody else's standards. Everybody's given an increase in pay, just like we do every year. They do the same thing. So they're asking for an increase for their employees. We give them an increase in their employees. We set a rate, through town vote, and we hope to keep that rate high enough that will come and work for us. If not, they don't, but we give them the option.
Let me ask a question. I assume that there has been increases in these rates in prior years.
Every year, quite a bit of an increase, yeah.
So it's in recognition that these contractors have an increased cost of doing business.
Yeah.
They have to pay their employees more. What we're trying to do is put a fixed number on what we will pay that private contractor, as opposed to letting them vary it from contractor to contractor, from job to job, which would make it a nightmare for the, I wouldn't know how you'd manage it. So we've put out a rate that the town of Acton says it will pay. And it's reasonable to offer an increase because everybody's wages are
Paul,
going
this
up.
isn't new to the town of Acton.
No,
And Dennis knows this.
Yeah, well.
Okay, but the reasoning, so to make you happy then, what we could say is, we gave a $6 increase for fuel and we didn't give it for the raises. Does that make any difference? No, it doesn't. People give raises to the people.
You ask the question, you gotta let them answer the
Well,
question.
no, I know, but it's really, the questions, every year, we know what what has inflation done?
Yeah,
What have we given for the last 2 years in salary increases?
Yeah.
To say that the people that drive the trucks because they're private contractors don't need a raise is ignorant.
well, I don't think, well, wait a minute.
We never said that they didn't deserve a raise.
Wait a minute. If we don't provide an increased rate, we may not get contractors to work for us, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to represent in our rate increase the fact that they, like everybody else, town employees, all the contractors that do business with the town, you can expect them all to have increased costs. And so but we put a cap on that, and we just can't have them all coming in at their own discretion, giving us rates and increases in rates that may in fact exceed what is reasonable. This puts a cap on it. And to me, as David points out, it's been done for a number of years this way. If the warrant and finance committee or anyone has suggestions about how we might do this different going forward, I would suggest you come forward with some ideas on that, and we'd be happy to entertain them.
My suggestion is, if you don't like the warrant that's written and your reasoning why it's written, vote it down.
Yeah?
If you don't like it, go to town meeting and you could amend the article and change it.
I don't think anybody said they didn't like it. They just wanted an explanation.
Did you get one?
And yes, Tom,
Okay.
it's just, we've got no control regardless of what we give people, what they pay their help. They're not town
I don't
employees.
think we ever intended that.
It-
You may find that those employees get a bigger increase. And some will get
It very
bigger,
well
some will
could be,
get
Tom.
smaller, and it depends on that contractor and the difficulty they have in retaining their employees.
Yeah.
That's what everybody deals
Yeah.
with, but that's on them.
I can tell you.
I agree with you, Tom.
More-
Yep, that's their issue.
Yeah.
That was not intended that we were directing them to give an increase to their
Okay,
employees.
I'll take that back to the committee, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, so we're gonna go
what
finish
is-
going through the list?
Yeah, please keep going.
All right, so that one is done. So number 6, what is the exact mileage to the dirt? Why not finish Huzzy Hill Road? Will that money be offset by the money spent on Peck Road? So with the board's permission, we'll put the mileage in there in the article, but as far as answering the rest of it, I would defer to you.
Well, we
Why
don't-
not finish Huzzy Hill Road, and will the money be spent on Peck Road?
So what they're suggesting is paving all the way to the end of Huzzy Hill, is that what the question is?
It just says, they wanna know the exact mileage, which I can understand putting that in the article, but I don't know.
Would it be appropriate to ask the responsible road agent to respond to this?
I'm confused.
Well,
Why not finish Huzzy Hill Road?
join the club.
This is,
No. Huzzy Hill, Peck Road goes to Huzzy Hill,
Oh, correct, yes.
okay?
But Huzzy Hill goes this way and Peck goes that way.
Peck, the way it was written was supposed to be if you stay on Peck, it turns to dirt?
Yes.
Not on the Huzzy Hill.
Yes.
so they wanna know if the money will be offset by the money spent on Peck Road. Why not finish Huzzy Hill Road?
Well, Huzzy Hill, right in the corner, is labeled a private drive, and I wasn't planning to go any further. I was going a little bit further on the dirt side, but I don't have the money to construct the road to go any further.
So it's a budgetary decision.
Budgetary reasons, yes.
All right,
Yeah, and you're not
Okay.
gonna pave that section either.
It's 2 houses down there.
okay.
That's it. And I was just gonna get to the next driveway. I was gonna go another 50 feet, I think it is,
Just to get off that.
just to get off that, to cut down on washout and stuff like that.
Thanks for that explanation.
Alright, so that one's, what is the delivery cost and installation of the containers? What size are the containers? So we'll work that out and email them an
That
answer.
varies depending on the vendor, does it not? The delivery cost for the containers?
Yes.
I mean, there are contracts that have been established for all of that, and there are, depending upon the size of the container and the material in it, there are different rates for that.
Now, you're talking about the containers I want.
The two,
Yes.
correct, the $10,000.
Usually,
Oh, is that what we're oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question.
So this is the $10,000. So the size of the containers that you've got those two budgets, or the two bids on were
40 feet.
40 feet?
Yep.
Okay. And
And,
is there a delivery or
No.
installation charge? That's for, included in the price?
correct,
I'm sorry, I
Perfect.
thought we were talking about something else. All right, thank you.
yeah.
Why is $10,000 being placed in the cemetery reserve account? That's the tree cutting money that they asked for. I think that they spoke in length to the Warren Finance about that.
Okay,
And then we still have no information from the rec department. What is the plan? What size shed? What size playground? Does it meet ADA standards? What's going in?
We don't know those.
we don't know those things until the engineer gets in and is able to determine the land area that can be devoted to those things. And so until we know what's available for size in terms of available for the playground or the shed, none of that has been determined yet.
That, the ADA, that's why we're hiring an engineer to make sure everything's
So
legit.
when the engineer's done their work, we'll have the answer to those questions, but right now we do not, because the work hasn't been done.
Why are we spending $10,000 for information we already have in RSMS? This is the Sebago tax, possible survey.
You know, I think my observation is that system has not been used. I haven't seen any benefit, quite frankly, that's come from all this effort so far. There may be difference of opinion as to why. I personally think we need professional services to come in and provide an assessment of our roads and to indicate to us the kind of maintenance that is being, to work with the road agents, the kind of maintenance that is appropriate given the current condition of our roads. I think we could benefit from that assistance, and that's really, I think, the scope of what the engineer is asking for,
Yeah, I mean,
or what we're asking of the engineer.
we're trying to move forward here with some sort of
Yeah.
something that we, we can look at, but I guess an overlook, this RSMS, when did we start this program? Back in 2010, I think, something like that. And now it's 2023. We've gone through how many road commissioners? We're in the 4, I don't know how many now, but it's not being done. And nothing to you guys, I didn't want to do it either. And that's why we got done, because people pushed us to do this job, do that, and we didn't feel it was pliable then. But this, I believe, at least we have professionals go out, look at them, and it's kind of an unbiased look, okay? And people do this for a living and give us a really good idea of, where we're going wrong here, if we are, and I don't want this to encumber the road commissioners at all. I want this to help them, to make their job easier. Because, especially with all the politics and everything else. But you take this here and you get someone who's qualified that goes out there and does this survey, and they may not even agree with it. But at the end of the day, we can look at this and go, okay, we got something here to work with. The RSMS, honestly, we can keep pounding that and beating that dead horse, but nothing has come from 13 years of it. I don't see anything coming from it now. So if we're going to get anywheres, I think this is really the only way we're going to do it.
I think if the road committee wants to take this matter up, they're free to take that up. I would encourage them to do sort of a debrief on why, after more than 10 years, to the best of our knowledge, no effective decision has come out of that effort. I may be wrong, but I'm not aware of any. And a lot of time and effort has been put into it, money, time, and effort. And for whatever reason, it hasn't produced the results. So perhaps they could illuminate as to why that is. To me, it's a mystery. This shouldn't be that difficult to do, but I do think it requires professional services and in order to make these assessments. And so that's my take on it. I will say I contacted the city of Sanford, who directed me to a senior official at DOT, who directed me to an individual, and I'm blanking on his name, but Don? Don.
Yeah.
And
This is our Don?
I've contacted Don 3 times.
And I sent him
And
2 more
I've tried
emails.
to get him to respond. And so I would have loved to have tried to work with him. I understand he may have retired, so I'm not quite sure. That's not a knock on him. I think his status may be in transition, but this is not because we failed to try to reach out to him and work with him. I couldn't get a response. And I spoke to him twice, and I think I've made 3 to 4 calls to him, and some of them I just couldn't get anywhere. So, at some point you just say, look, that avenue isn't working. He knew that I was a selectman, and for whatever reason, he didn't seem to follow up. So I think Sebago is a great option. They do this with other towns. They're a very professional outfit. They've got a great reputation, great references. Let's give it a shot. When you're spending $800,000, what is this survey costing us, $18,000. I know it's a lot of money, but when you're making an investment of close to $1 million, and that investment is not just for 1 year, it's for multiple years, this is really an inexpensive cost, and money well spent to make sure you're spending close to $1 million a year in a good way. And I think it will help our road
And
agents as
we
well.
are spending $1 million. By the time you figure all the general maintenance and
Yeah.
everything else we're putting into it,
Yeah,
there's a lot of money.
it's a
being
lot
spent.
of money, so this is just prudence, if you ask me, so that's my take on it. So road committee is free to sort of take this issue up, and if they have something to say about it, we'd love to hear from them.
All right, getting down to the last couple. Why is the 25,530 from ARPA not being placed in the existing West Shore Capital Reserve Fund? I guess my question is, what makes you think it's not? I mean, it is. That's the exact same account. I went to last year's warrant and just copy and pasted the name of the article that you put the other ARPA money in, and just copy and pasted the same words.
That was a reserve account.
It was the exact same, I put the exact same wording from the previous ARPA fund into this one. We can double check it, but it's certainly the intent, and it was the same wording. So, I will double check that, but. And then
Dennis, go ahead.
I was gonna get the last one.
Go ahead, please, yeah.
Question, can the town spend money out of a reserve account without approval of town meeting? And then they want 5 years' worth of expense reports and current date year-end reports.
With regard to that question about reserve accounts, I don't think that's germane to the warrant, unless you can explain to me how it is. We'll look into that and we'll respond to you, but I don't think that's critical for you doing your job with regard to the warrants that need to be brought to the coming town meeting. Or is there something about this I'm not seeing, Dennis?
No, we have established town meetings, established accounts with money in them in reserve. And it was just a question of,
No, it's a great question.
is it, are we gonna have two different accounts? Or one gonna be in a reserve account and one is not?
No, I think he doesn't mean that. He doesn't mean the West Shore Drive one. He means after that, whether they can spend it or not.
Can the town spend money out of a reserve account without approval of the town meeting?
Right.
So I don't think that question is relevant to the warrants, unless you can explain how it is. And I'm saying, we are looking into this and we'll clarify it. We'll get back to you on it.
Yeah, just as a question from
Yeah.
somebody on
It's
the
a
warrant
gen- It's
finance
nothing to
committee.
do with the upcoming town meeting.
No.
Okay, so we'll get back to you on that. And with regard to, please send, a quick way to get your 5 years of reports, go to the annual report. It's around page 100, and I distributed copies of it when I prepared the summary of the financial statements. If you want more detail, we can provide that to you, Dennis, but it was a really nice summary, budget to actual audited numbers. And those are published right in the annual report. So I suggest you go there. If you feel that's inadequate, let us know, but my guess is it's going to cover all of this.
I just want to be clear, Tom, that these questions are from the committee, they're not.
But I'm also mindful, you got one more meeting, you've got to get through your warrant. I want to make sure that we're on the same page and that you as the chair can understand and hopefully support that. And if you're going to say, gee, I don't think that gets us there, I'd rather know that now than next week after you've gone through your meeting and we find we've got a problem that the warrants can't get done.
How many warrant articles were voted on last week, on Monday?
They weren't able to get through, they didn't do them.
No? Okay.
Okay, well, we want to make sure you get through it next week, Dennis, so,
Do our best.
okay, all right.
Do my best.
And we need them to.
I know you will. All
We
right.
need them to act on this first, the whole 1488 from APAT.
Yes.
Should be first
Yeah,
on their
yeah.
agenda.
So we'll get, do we need to provide them?
Yeah, I'll send some documentation.
We'll send you an email on the APAP so you can hopefully take that up.
Yeah, just for clarity, going back to the cemetery and the reserve account, I'm the secretary, so I'm writing down what people ask. Having seen the cemetery, they came in with a wonderful presentation. Jim Driscoll did a great job for them. They need that money now, and that's why the question was asked.
Which
They want it
question?
On the $10,000 that they're asking for.
They need the money,
Like, to do the work now that they want, so that's why it's,
Well, no,
why is
they-
it putting into reserve? That's why the question was
Yeah,
asked.
they actually asked for, specifically to go into that account, they have one more tree that's being cut out of that current account.
Out of the
which is
current
gonna-
account, okay.
That current
Information we
reserve
didn't,
account, yep, so
Yeah.
they've got one more to cut, that'll bring
So
that
we
down.
think we got it covered, Joyce,
yeah,
so.
that was, we didn't have
And
that
that's in discussion
information.
with,
Jim
Mr.
and Steve,
Driscoll?
yes.
Yeah,
There you
we
go. So
didn't
I-
have that information,
I think,
so.
okay, I think
We
we're
didn't
all
want
set.
them to be
Yep.
waiting and waiting.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Okay, request from the fire chief. Fire chief here?
No, he's not able to make it, I have an email.
Okay.
So, good afternoon. I'm reaching out and requesting approval to order this personal protective equipment, PPE. This is PPE that we use to enter a burning building, used at car crashes to protect us, and used at any other fire excluding forest fires. As we can remember, when I submitted the budget for 23-24, I requested to budget for 3 sets of PPE. Through the budget process, 2 of those were removed in order to meet my overall budgeting goals, and it was recommended that I try to purchase 2 of those sets out of this year's current budget. The request is approximately $7,400. This is for 2 jackets and 2 trousers. The particular members this gear is going to are specifically sized, and they only need these items. They do not need boots, hoods, gloves, helmets, therefore we're saving some money. The only vendor that sells the PPE that we use and have been dealing with for decades is Bergeron Protective Clothing. This is the only sales company approved by the factory that covers the territory that Acton falls under.
I'm sorry, could you say that last line again? This is the only
This is
company
the only
approved for what?
sales company approved by the factory that covers the territory that Acton falls under. It also will match the rest of the uniform, all of those things that they didn't need. Boots, hoods, gloves, helmets were already purchased from.
So is he saying this is a sole sourced item, PPE?
No, he's saying that the Bergeron Protective Clothing, which is the rest of the gear, this
Yeah.
needs to match the rest of the gear. And Bergeron is only through, he only has
Oh,
one
I
sales
see.
company
Because
in the
they're-
Northeast.
One
Because
sales
they're
rep for this
buying
area.
components of an overall unit or PPE that they all need to work together and match? Is that what's going on?
Exactly.
I see, okay.
So when he's, his point is that he's able to save money, and he's lucky that the firefighter doesn't need the entire gear from top to bottom, but he needs it to all tie in together.
Well, I could imagine, I understand that, I don't know about you, David, it seems reasonable. I'm gonna say that, my strong bias is bid everything. We got bid policies for a reason. There may be reasons why, good reasons why we might want to exempt certain transactions from that, but I just want to reinforce that everything should be bid according to policy. Having said that, if he's got, compatibility issues that would be created if we went to another manufacturer product, I have to rely on the chief for that,
So.
David, I don't know how you feel about it.
I did go
No,
on and
no,
double
there's-
check.
There's only really one way to go here, because we're kinda handcuffed to it.
Yeah.
Hamstrung or whatever, but we just had this conversation with our road commissioners,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I know it,
But-
yeah.
But I mean, I guess if the road commissioners could, if they wanted blue pavement, and they only had one company that could do blue pavement, then I guess we could probably do it, but all pavement's black, and, but,
I was trying to send a message we have a purchasing policy, and all departments should follow it.
Yep.
There should not be exceptions unless you got a sole source item, which means you cannot get it anywhere else.
well, we kinda do that now.
Yeah.
Our salt.
Yeah.
We have 2 places you can
Yeah,
get it.
and
That's it.
fine, I get
You
it.
know?
That makes sense.
And he and I did take the time to Google some of the brands of the clothing, and there really is no one else in the Northeast that sells it. I mean,
Fine.
We work together.
And so because there's compatibility issues,
Yes.
I certainly wouldn't want to create a safety issue for anyone
I just
because of
wanted to
that.
point out that we just went through this whole
I
thing.
know it,
and,
I know it. I
you
know
know,
it.
There are
but
several
we're-
paving
we're-
companies.
But that's,
I think we're gonna have to do this, because,
that's why those exceptions need to come here.
Yeah.
So that we can understand them and feel comfortable with them and approve them. It's not a discretion of any department head to just feel like, they can make the decision to be exempted from the purchasing policy. Everyone follows it. Town hall, all departments. Okay, so I'm comfortable with that, David?
I am too.
So
Do we need a motion?
Motion to waive?
Yeah, motion to waive as cited in the email from Fire Chief. Yeah, great. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay. Okay. Are we down to public comment?
We are, I have one thing that I forgot to put on the agenda, more of an update for David. So Kayla and I did some interviews over the last, week and a half for the two positions that we have open. We interviewed several people, narrowed it down to what I consider to be the top 3 choices for 2 positions. I then had Tom, let's see, it's Wednesday, Tom. We had Tom and I met with those 3 candidates. And we'd like your blessing to make an offer and start negotiating with 2 of what we considered our top 2.
Yeah, yep.
Thank you, David. I gotta tell you, all 3 candidates I thought were very capable. I think we've got an opportunity to hire 2 great people and get them in relatively quickly, because we're short-staffed, and Jennifer and Kayla
Excited
are
that we
juggling
have
a lot of balls.
I'm just excited that many people applied.
We had a
Yeah,
lot
no,
of-
and I gotta tell you, they were, high caliber people. I thought they'll do a great job. So you never know, but, so great. Is there a motion there?
Well, we'll just make the offers first, so.
You can't, yeah.
Okay, well, I just wanted to authorize you to go forward and make that.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion for that.
Okay, if we don't do that, that's fine.
Sounds good.
All right. Any other business?
No, sir.
Public comment?
Come on up, Hope. Oh, sorry. Hope raised her hand.
I'll just be a second. Just to clarify, the answers to these questions will be emailed to the Warrant Finance Committee, so I can print them off and,
Just gave them.
I think we just gave them, Dennis. I wasn't planning on putting it in writing. If you,
okay.
I mean, I'm happy to spend some
No,
time with you if you
I'll-
want to
I'll do my
clarify
best.
anything, or I will be at that meeting. I can certainly speak to it.
Okay.
All right, if, hopefully,
I'll probably engage your help, Norm.
I'm happy to help.
Okay, thank
The
you.
number ones we'll certainly send over that we didn't.
I'm sorry?
The ones that had numbers that we didn't answer. we'll
Yeah,
get those
yeah,
over.
yeah. Okay. Any other comment? Yes, folks. Good evening.
So, Saturday, we had,
Can you state your name for the record?
it's John Dennekamp and Hope Dennekamp. Saturday, we did a cleanup, a townwide cleanup, and we're calling it the first annual. We had 25, 30 people scattered around town
Nice.
from the other side of Milton Mills Road, Fox's Ridge to Acton Ridge to the New Hampshire border. And we collected somewhere in the area of 144 contractor-sized bags of trash.
Wow.
There's still plenty more out there, and you'll probably
Yeah.
see people out there picking it for a while. We had people bringing their kids. We had anywhere from second graders to middle schoolers and second graders to 80-something-year-olds out there helping. We had Joyce Bakshi standing in the hot sun all afternoon cooking burgers and dogs for us.
Nice.
At her own personal risk. We had 2 people that helped out greatly. You know, we had several people with pickups to ferry trash, but we would still be out there doing it if it weren't for Rob Dobson and his company's dump truck, and Adam Brock and his truck and dump trailer. So those 2 guys made it so much easier, as did Robin and his crew at the transfer station who helped out. You know, you guys gave us your blessing to do it. You gave us some money from the Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Jennifer is always supportive with people doing things in town too. So we had a small committee, the 2 of us, Bruce and Denise Bowden. I don't want to forget anybody, Daniel Norwood, Sue Perkis, and Jim Driscoll, and Mary Chenevert were responsible for putting this together. So we wanted to kind of coordinate it with Earth Day, which we're a little late with, so next year maybe we'll be closer to that.
Yeah, no, I saw you guys out there. We really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, we had a really good turnout. We put that together, I think, really quickly. The town came together, as it does, and I think it was just great to see, like John was saying, just the age group. It wasn't just, we had some kids out there, which was really good.
Kids are horrified. They won't be throwing stuff out the window.
See?
Do you have a list of the individuals that participated in this?
We have a fairly good list, yeah, we don't.
Could you share that with us, please?
Sure. Yep.
I think it would be appropriate to recognize that effort and everyone's contribution, and
There are people.
because it's really significant. We really appreciate your efforts on,
There are
everyone's
peop-
efforts
There are
on this.
people that did it in their own neighborhood
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
we don't know, but we probably have 25 names, I would say, of
That's
of
great.
people.
Just-
I'll
Yeah,
send, I'll
a lot of
send,
volunteers.
I'll send Jennifer a
Okay,
note.
and if we get the names, we can figure out where they are, right? Great, so, thank you. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
and
Thank you for
Thanks to
helping.
your team.
For your support,
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yeah, very
Thanks,
nice.
guys.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Robin?
I don't usually talk, but I guess I.
You're getting comfortable.
On, piggyback on that, I think the town should come up with a few $100s and put some safety vests on these individuals that's out in the streets.
Good idea.
I don't know how you can do that,
Me,
but
anyway, David, maybe you got a different,
I appreciate everything they're doing. I don't think the town should get involved at all for liability reasons. Just to say, just
but
for,
the town wouldn't be involved in it with just a safety vest.
yeah, okay, I, just because what I know
Yeah.
with all the classes I've taken.
isn't that sad, huh? I mean, you may be right.
Yeah,
No,
you're right.
I am.
Really sad.
I just,
And that's,
I just don't want the town to incur any liability, meaning they're part of it. We appreciate them doing it as private people.
Okay.
I'll buy it myself. I just
Yeah.
don't want the town involved in it.
Okay.
Because of the
I just-
implications of stuff that could happen.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Let's talk about it. All right. Nancy?
Nice to see if we could have
Yeah,
done a waiver.
It used to be that the state required the towns to decorate and maintain veterans' graves. And apparently, the law has changed, is that correct?
Decorate and maintain?
Well, no, veterans' graves, they still have to do that. But now we're maintaining the older cemeteries, and I just wanted some clarification on that.
I can't answer that.
I
Yeah,
can't.
we'd have to
Have to
defer
go
to
to
the
cemetery
cemetery committee. I mean, I don't think, they're
Okay.
certainly still placing flags on all the cemeteries.
No, but there's being maintenance done.
Yeah, there's,
Beyond veterans, is that what you're asking about?
Yes, there
Maintenance
is.
for graves, beyond veteran graves?
Correct.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything in the warrant article that says that they can't see.
Oh, no.
Okay,
no.
yeah, so-
I just wondered, because it used to be that you had to do this, and that was the cemetery committee's charge.
Yep, and they still are.
But
In addition, they're working on other graves that they come across that are, dismembered, or I know that Dan could speak on the Mary Grant Committee just made a donation to the cemetery committee for the Mary Grant, her actual headstone, correct?
Mary Grant's mother, yes.
Mary Grant's mother. So the
Okay.
cemetery committee, their first charge is certainly maintaining the veterans, but
Right.
they're certainly working on non-veterans as well.
So to
Okay,
clarify,
well-
we are maintaining graves other than veteran graves, correct?
I believe so, yes.
So for
cemetery.
other,
Is that, are you questioning whether that's something appropriate
well,
for
they're
us to be
usually
doing?
private cemeteries. That
Yes,
was
they
my
are.
only question, and,
Well, there's a
I thought
lot
it
of
had
town-owned
something to do with-
cemeteries.
pardon?
Aren't there a lot of town-owned cemeteries?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of the, what about all the funds that we've been given over the year, all the trust accounts? Weren't those cemeteries adopted by the town? Why don't we invite the cemetery committee next week and get some
Yeah, I was gonna
clarification?
ask Kim, and she's
Sorry?
not. No,
Why is
yeah,
that?
because I thought that, we were we had to maintain,
Hold on.
Veterans'
If you
graves.
like it, next you can come up, Joe. What's that?
we have to maintain the veterans' graves.
I get that.
Yes.
Yes, but then non-veterans
You don't think we should
in
be spending
private
taxpayer money?
cemeteries.
So are you
And I
questioning
wondered,
whether
like-
we should be using taxpayer money to maintain graves other than veterans' graves?
Correct.
That's the question that remember Warren and Finance had asked, and then they withdrew the question because Dennis indicated they got the answer. So maybe they already know something that they want to share, because they indicated they already had the answer, so we didn't look into it.
Yeah, because they are they're on
Private.
private land,
Sure.
as far as I
understand.
know.
I understand.
And,
Find out.
you know,
Looks like.
Joyce, did you have something to add to this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact dates, but by state law, a municipality can take care of I don't want to use the word ancient, but an old grave site that has not been, no one has been interred in that cemetery in the last 50 years. And most of the cemeteries we have in town, people have not been interred in them at all because they are part of the municipality, even though they're privately owned. And in some cases, the ownership could be
Unknown.
unknown,
Yeah.
could be unknown. But by the state law, we looked into it, and the fellow from the Historical Society was giving me the
So,
up, down,
so if I understand, you're saying that it's allowable for a town to expend its money this way, but not necessarily required.
correct.
so you're not obligated.
You're not,
You may.
you may, the
Oh,
word is
Okay.
may.
And it
not
sounds like
into it,
that's
not
what we're
shall.
doing.
And it is what we're doing.
That's what we're doing,
So there's
so
nothing to look into.
I guess if there were
Mr.
some objection to that, then someone could bring that forward, but I don't, I'm
The
not
gentleman that was
interested
here from the
in-
cemetery.
in taking this any further.
Something we've been doing for a long time.
Yeah, you know, I think it's,
Good thing.
and quite frankly, most of this work is done by volunteers, as
They're
I
all
understand.
volunteers.
And so there isn't a great deal of town expense here.
$3,000 is what they.
Yeah, so it's the good efforts of people who have taken this on and do this work. We heard from Mr. Driscoll last week about the efforts that they've been doing, and so, you know, it's kind of like cleanup day. It's just
It's the right thing to do.
Is there a
active
question?
citizenship in the town, and God love them. I appreciate people doing it.
I have no problem, and I think it's wonderful that they're doing it.
Okay.
It's just that it's a change from
Yeah.
what has historically been done. That
Well,
was my
hopefully
only-
we've
that
clarified
was my
it, so
only
everyone
question.
knows that
Yep.
we're doing it, and we believe it's okay for us to do it,
Yep.
so let's leave it there.
Okay.
Unless there's something else on it, and we can move on. Fair enough? Any other, Joe, did you want to add anything to this? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It was, all right, any other public comment? Okay. Announcements. Warrant and Finance Committee, May 15th at 6. Select Board, May 17th at 6. Planning Board, May 18th at 6. Capital Improvement Committee, May 22nd at 5. Select Board, May 24th at 6. Mary Grant, May 25th at 6. And Select Board, tentative.
Well,
Or we,
if we tentative any of them, it needs to be the May 24th.
okay, so that we may not have a meeting on the 24th, but it looks like we will have one on the 31st.
That's the West Shore Drive deadline.
Oh, okay. That's for the
The
bids
bids.
coming back?
Correct. Works?
So we expect to have a bid opening?
Yes, sir.
Great.
And the 17th, you have a liquor public hearing for, Barn Lights, thank you, Barn Lights, so the 24th is your optional cancel.
Okay, great. I think that concludes our agenda. Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor? Thank you, everyone.